Welcome to Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Oh, this is supposed to be a paperless society. Well, I've got a lot of papers because I got a lot of information from the New Mexico Business Coalition. Of course, it's all online, but I couldn't bring my computer. Well, I could have brought my computer here to look at it all, but I'm old school, so I like to read. And we're going to talk about all of this, but make it very interesting for you because it's really interesting material. It's regarding the mayoral race, the questionnaires for them, regarding the poll that was done by the New Mexico Business Coalition regarding the upcoming mayor's race, and that's going to be, of course, here November 4th. It's a Tuesday. You can have early voting, of course, and we're going to talk about the legislature and a ranking that the New Mexico Business Coalition does. It's kind of like a scorecard, or really a grading card like you used to get at school. We grade our legislators regarding how they feel regarding business and business growth. So I've got a lot of papers, but we're going to cull it all down for you to find what you need to know about the race and about your legislators. So please stay with us as we discuss the New Mexico Business Coalition, Carla Sonntag, and all the information that organization, that nonprofit, supplies you and me. We'll find out how to find it online as well. Stay with us. Bye-bye. You're thinking, Diane, do I really want to know all this? Yes, you as an educated voter really need to know this. You and I do, because we have an obligation. We have an obligation to choose our leaders who are supposed to represent us. If we don't vote and if we don't care to take the time to learn about them, then we're failing ourselves and kind of failing our community as well. I don't mean to be preachy on that, but it's very significant because we see our beautiful city and our beautiful state, and we see kind of a lot of decline. That's my opinion. You may have a different opinion, but some polls show that we are all kind of agreeing that we've seen the decline in Albuquerque, and the state of New Mexico has so much to offer, and we tend to be at the bottom of a lot of bad lists. So we need to learn, and thanks to Carla Sonntag and the New Mexico Business Coalition, we can learn a lot, and it's just by going online if you have a computer or just watching the show, because we're going to talk about all these things on the show today.
Yes, and if you go online at nmbizcoalition.org, you can find all these documents that we're talking about and read them at your leisure, and we would encourage you to do that.
Especially the fantastic poll for the mayor's race. We talked about that in another program, but there were two questions that we didn't touch upon. We're going to touch upon that and about how it affects an executive order that our President Trump, had issued an earlier part of this year regarding sanctuary cities and I think immigrant-friendly cities. So we're going to talk about what that is doing right now, that executive order, and how that affects our businesses. And then we're going to talk about the poll and the questions they have for candidates regarding that. But tell me a little bit about what President Trump is doing with his executive order, how he's trying to protect us, but then how some people are turning that around, blaming the president for not giving us some funding that we need.
Yeah, there's two issues tightly tied together. And one is the president said, if you are running a sanctuary city, we're not going to be funding it. And we're going to start taking back federal funds. Because what he is trying to do is make sure that our federal funds go to our current citizens and not to others.
So when he was saying, what funds was he talking about? Maybe not giving us if...
There's discussion about a lot of things, but one of them is Medicaid. Some of it has to do with tax dollars that can be used in the general budget for operations of larger cities or any city.
So really striking out all the federal money that Albuquerque would get because we're an immigrant-friendly or sanctuary city.
Probably not all of it. It'll be focused on certain things.
Okay.
But then at the same time, he came with an executive order that it's about safer streets, and it's about wanting to help our large cities that are in trouble, and Albuquerque is one of them, become safer for its citizens.
So they're kind of tied together? So we're talking about two executive...
They're two different issues, and the money issue is really something that needs to go through Congress. It's not so much
Oh.
his executive order. The executive order had to do with safer streets and him providing more funds if you are wanting to have safer streets and you're not doing the sanctuary city status. Well, we have a problem in New Mexico across the state, but especially in our large cities like Albuquerque, because they have chosen to be a sanctuary place. And by so doing, we're thumbing our nose, so to speak, at the current administration, saying, we don't care what you think, we're going to do it our way.
And a sanctuary or immigrant-friendly means, and there's a reason for it, but it means that you allow undocumented or illegal immigrants, people who've crossed over our borders without permission or legally, to reside in the community without checking their immigration status. And the idea behind it is that they're going to be more willing to be open to police regarding violence or crime in the city, and they won't be fearful of police, because if they think that police are going to arrest them for being here illegally, they're going to be less inclined to tell the police about crime in their neighborhoods.
Yes, and that is more the definition that follows immigrant friendly. Sanctuary status means anything goes, you come and go and you're never going to be questioned or anything. There's a little bit of a fine line at times, and honestly people think immigrant friendly is the same as sanctuary city status.
I thought it was.
Well, they like to make the distinction only in the crime element that you were talking about, so that if an immigrant is here not legally and there is an issue with crime, they can feel free to go to the police, talk about that, and not be questioned about status.
Correct.
But in a sanctuary state or city, it goes further than that. And so without getting into all the details, it basically rolls out the red carpet for them in any capacity, for any reason.
But are we a sanctuary city or are we immigrant friendly in Albuquerque?
Well, by the paperwork, it's immigrant friendly. But the way that Albuquerque is operating, there's really no difference. We are a sanctuary city, and the current administration has seen through that and said, you need to make your streets safer, and we want to help you do that for your citizens. Well, from our perspective in the Business Coalition, we're all about it. We're like, bring the help. We need the help because we don't feel safe here. Our businesses are not safe here. So we want that assistance.
So
from the
President
feds.
Trump is saying we'll give you more money.
We will help. We will help you
keep
with
you-
safety on your streets.
Okay.
But this immigrant-friendly sanctuary, whatever you want to call it, has got to stop.
That's what he's saying, in order to get the money. And what's the current local administration, city of Albuquerque, saying? We don't want the money? We're not going to stop.
They want the money, but they won't stop.
Oh, they want the money. Okay.
Yeah, well, of course,
Of course
everybody
they
wants
want the
money. But, you know, that's happening at the state level, too. When we look at Medicaid funding, the governor is crying the blues because we've got a lot of people who are not legal residents of our state or of the United States that are on Medicaid. And a lot of that money is flowing through to our hospitals and funding it, and the governor is saying, we want the money, but they're not going to assure that the money is going to our citizens. And so there is a big issue between the administration and New Mexico's government at the state level and at the city level.
So as the taping of this in the summer of 2025, Carla, what is the status? Are we going to be receiving those dollars to keep our streets safer or not? And who's blaming whom about not having safe streets?
Well, so that executive order is probably going to be challenged in court because it requires that status be checked for people receiving money. So the ACLU and the immigrant-friendly groups are lining up the lawsuits against the executive order. So it's going to be tied up in court for a very long time before we'll ever see if there will be a benefit. From our perspective, we want to see any help that we can get because we're not getting it from the current administration and we're not safe here. So I'm tired of living that way. I'm a native. I was born and raised in Albuquerque. I want to feel safe on my streets again, and I don't. So if we can't get it from the current administration, I'd love it from the federal administration, wherever we can get it. But the battle is on.
The battle is on. So it's going to be the courts. So the current mayor or future mayor, because we have an election coming up, really doesn't have any say-so. I mean, if it's going to be in the courts anyways, correct?
Correct. But, there are things that can be done that the feds can assist with safety if the mayor is willing. We saw that when we had cooperation between Sheriff Manny Gonzalez and the feds, and they came in and they made several arrests of some very, very violent offenders who were not here legally. That was a good thing for our city and for our citizens.
What does the Business Coalition know, and you may be not willing or wanting to talk about the drug cartels kind of running things in Albuquerque? We heard about it for years, running Mexico, the country of Mexico, but now they're running things in our city. What does the coalition know about that?
Well, that goes back to when marijuana was going to be legalized. And I wrote a 7-page paper and gave it to the administration and to the legislature. And I said, the cartels will move in if you legalize marijuana, because you legalize one drug and they come in force. And it has happened. And so what you see with our drug shops where you can go and buy marijuana and marijuana products, it's legal here, but I don't know if you've noticed in the news, they're talking about some of these legal operations are closing down. They can't compete because the cartels are running maybe right next door or a couple of doors down, and they're not paying taxes. So the cartel can sell cheaper and turn things faster.
Do they have storefronts, or are they selling on the street when you say the cartels?
They're doing both. Because the city, and we told the state government and the city, you don't have the forces enabling you to go out and check every storefront and make sure that it's licensed.
Oh, they're there but not licensed, but they're selling a storefront, maybe not licensed.
And they can close up like that.
And do you know this is happening, Carla?
We do. We do. We also know that there is a lot of money being laundered through the cartels. They're doing that through construction projects, mostly homes. So it's...
Oh boy.
They're here, and they're here in force.
What do you think about it? It's your hometown. What's going on with your hometown?
Yeah, it's sickening. It is sickening because even 5 years ago, we had big city crime. Everybody does, but we were relatively safe, and I felt okay going to the store. I knew my car would be there when I came out. I don't know that stuff anymore. I don't know if I'm safe. I don't know if my car will be there. So I'm tired of living like this, and I think a lot of New Mexicans are.
We have the mayor's race coming around the corner, and you have that questionnaire people can find on the New Mexico Biz Coalition.com. And one of the questions you have regarding our safe streets is the question for these mayoral candidates: will you cooperate with or oppose federal agencies regarding the deportation of those who have entered the U.S. illegally and are a threat to society? That's
right.
One of your questions.
And that's important for voters to know, because if they're tired, like I am, of living like this, then you need to know what mayor is going to take care of it.
If they oppose it or oppose the federal agencies, or they're going to let them...
Well, if they come in, and if the feds come in and there's cooperation with the administration at the city level, a lot can be accomplished, because they've got resources we don't have resources to cover. But if you put both resources together, they can accomplish some great things.
We have another question. What is your plan to deal with illegal encampments in the city?
So
I thought they were supposed to not be here anymore, but I've seen them.
Well, we've got safer communities, or whatever it's called, where they can put legal encampments in certain places. The mayor is now pushing to have more of those. He wants to have about 100 new sites around the city with encampments that are legal. Ubias has said he will follow suit. He'll do the same thing.
Like on open lots or something, or where would they be? And where are they? Where are they now, Carla?
Well, right now they're camping illegally wherever they want. What Keller is looking to do is to set them up in places where, for example, they could be next to a church that is supporting them. There are rules about how these tent operations are supposed to be handled. This is past the city council, and they are supposed to have 24/7 security. They're supposed to have a shower facility. They're supposed to have rules about people living at these sites. But Keller has found, again, they're too onerous, and so he wants to lessen the rules. He wants to get rid of the security. He wants to have mobile showers come in once a week or occasionally. But when this passed the city council, it passed with the agreement of 24/7 security.
Allowing this. And again, a number of churches are allowing that, or doing.
We have only one church right now participating, and they have that going on right next to their church building. They have said the security is expensive, and they would love to see it go away.
So that's one of your questions. What is your plan to deal with the illegal encampments? But that's supposed to be illegal.
Right, and Keller is saying if we have more legal camping facility places in the city, we won't have the illegals. But I'm not seeing that because, again, we're not enforcing any existing laws, and therein lies the problem.
And therein lies, we have an election coming up.
Yes, we do.
November 4th. Always prior to the legislature, you have a report card.
Yes.
On our legislators and how they fare on legislation regarding business development, business safety, business encouragement, and again, business affects all of us because it allows us to buy and purchase things we want, but also employs a lot of us.
Exactly.
Businesses. Sometimes businesses given a black eye, and I'm thinking, why? What's wrong? Just because maybe the owners make money? Is that not the American way? Are they horrible because they make money?
They get demonized a lot, but if they're not making money, then they're not going to be there to serve our needs, right?
Serve our needs or employ us.
Exactly. Exactly.
But you did your report card, New Mexico House 60 legislative scorecard. I call it a report card because you got A's through F's. I see a lot of F's. Usually prior to the session, but you did a little earlier this year.
We normally release them actually before an election. So we would have held this until next year, typically. But the reason that we release them early is because we need people to be more cognizant of what's going on in their legislature. And the sad fact of this is, Diane, we have scores of A through F, but almost everyone scored is A or F.
Oh!
There's a couple that are in the middle.
Really?
Yes.
Is that something kind of new, or in the past few years it's been like that?
It's pretty new, and that's the reason we put it out.
That is just either one side or the other regarding business.
They
Nothing
either
in
support
between.
business or they do not.
The extreme here.
Yes. And it has gotten so stark.
Polarized.
Yes.
So polarized.
Yes. And so the people who don't support business are the people who will promote paid family medical leave and things that are detrimental to business and quite honestly detrimental to employees. But those who don't support bad policy and support good policy, those are our A makers, and we appreciate them, but they're very outnumbered.
Pro-business, they would get an A, promotes private sector innovation. That sounds bad.
Yes.
And self-reliance, with accountability. I don't like accountability. No, joking. Self-reliance? Oh, brother.
Yes.
No, we want to be reliant on the government. We want the government to tell us everything we need to do. And accountability. Okay, they get an A if they promote private sector innovation and self-reliance with accountability. Seek less government control and taxation to support self-sufficiency rather than government reliance. If they support legislation like that, they get an A. And you said there are very few?
Very few. And, I'll tell you straight out, it pretty much falls along party lines. So people think that I'm being very partisan, and I am not. What we do is we post our priorities and we tell the legislature and the world, this is what we believe will help make New Mexico business friendly. We give it to the legislators before the session starts in a letter, and then we follow them through the session telling them, this is not good for business, this would be great for business. So we keep them informed every step of the way on what we're going to be scoring and what is important for business. There's no surprises here.
So a number of pieces of legislation, or exact legislation, or the kind of general idea of the legislation?
We start with a general idea, but during the session we're telling specifically, this bill works, this bill does not work, this bill would work if you could modify it this way.
Wow, all of that.
We try very hard to work with them to help them get where business needs to be.
If they get an F if they're anti-business, chokes the private sector with excessive government, draining resources to increase government control while stifling innovation, continually seeks increased taxes and fees, and promotes government reliance. Wow. Why would they want to be reliant? Why would these legislators want to be reliant on government?
That's how they get elected.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you think about it, if you have Senator X that is providing handouts to people who don't want to work, those people are going to vote for Senator X to keep him in office. And so that's where we see them building government reliance. They want these people reliant on them to keep them in office, and they stay in office in order to cover those needs.
Oh, so it's a cycle.
It is.
Jeez.
And we need
breaking the cycle is tough.
It is.
The few people who are willing to try to break it get broken themselves. They don't get reelected because they're not handing out anything.
That's exactly right. And so we've seen the Democrats that are pro-business being taken out of the legislature, just wholesale taken out. And we don't have a lot of them left. And so that's where it becomes a party issue. Not that I made it that way, but that's the way it has become. The Republicans are typically supportive of business, and the Democrats are not. Now, they're not true Democrats. They are progressives. We've talked about that in the past. Progressives are people who are pushing for more government. They really want socialism. Many of them are talking about communism in New Mexico. This is not just hearsay and made up things. They talk about it openly. They want socialism in this state.
You've been doing this, the New Mexico Business Coalition has been doing this for years. Is this the most stark contrast you've ever seen? I see so many F's on here.
Yes.
And a few A's.
It really makes me
Before, when
sad.
there were moderate Democrats, there may have been a few B's in here, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, we had. And, we've found that the Republicans have become more pro-business, trying to overcompensate for the other side. And so now the scores are what they are. People ask me, why did you give so-and-so that score? And I say, I didn't give them anything.
They earned it.
They earned it based on their votes for or against business.
Why did you give all these F's out?
Yeah.
What a bad teacher you are.
It's sad, Diane, because I want everybody to get an A. I want everybody to be pro-business. I want to see our government helping promote business so business flourishes and creates good-paying jobs, and everybody's happy. This is not good for our state, and that's the reason we put it out very early before the elections. I want people tuning into the next legislative session a lot more and understanding what's happening.
And it's leading down the road to socialism and communism, meaning government provides from birth to elderliness.
And we have some of those programs going on in New Mexico right now. We have childcare, free childcare from birth up. And we can't replace the family unit.
But government is the great uncle now.
Yeah.
And soon to be the mom and dad, because the parent doesn't need to really take any responsibility for their child if government is doing it all.
That's right. But that's not good for society. It's not good for the child. It's not good for the family. Nobody wins if we do it that way.
Well, you rob people of their self-esteem, of raising and being proud of the child that they raised as with their own self-esteem and self-reliance.
Yeah.
Instead of depending on the government, it may not be there one day, and then what happens?
And that feeds into where did the American dream go of working hard so that you could do better in society, provide for your family, see your kids do better than you did. Where did that go? We lost it when we started turning our children over to the government to raise.
Carla, thank you and the Business Coalition for caring and supplying us with all this information that, again, allows us to make choices by seeing it. What else would you like to share in the final 10 seconds you have?
Just go to our website. The scorecards are there. All the rating criteria are there, the bills that we graded, the poll for the mayor's race, and all the questionnaires. So much information there to help you understand who our elected officials are, what they stand for, so you can make better choices when you go to the polls.
And see if they're in line with what you believe for yourself and for your family. Thanks to Carla Sonntag and the New Mexico Business Coalition and to KCHF TV for bringing you this program. I'm Diane. Make it a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program, email us at info@kchftv.org. or call us at 505-345-1991. Join us again for Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater.